Mix, the video podcast that keeps you in the mix of everything real estate. I am Noelle Frieson.
I'm Eric Anderson. What's up, people?
And we are here today to talk about money. I'm wearing my money green. I'm surrounded by all of these men who have money, money, money. How are you going to make your first million? How did they make their first million? How are we going to get money in our pockets? How are we going to get money in our pockets, Eric?
It's so easy. Just remember, the first million is the hardest. The rest are really easy. So we're going to tell you how to do it today. We're going to tell you about our guests here today, how wonderful they are. Actually, they're a regular guest, but they're going to tell you about how they made millions. I'm going to tell you about how I made some money. Noelle's going to tell you about how she wants to make money. And
someone talked to their accountant before today's podcast.
Exciting.
So what is the number one thing that you must do to make money? Do you have to have money to make money?
You don't have to have money. You have to fake it till you make it.
Oh, that's so you're saying pretend like you have money.
Project like you have money. Project like you have a lot of success. Get that feeling out there of success. You want people to be around you. You want people to want to hang out with you. You want people to think that you're successful. And that's how you start.
I don't know about that. Do you always, if you're pretending to have money and then they found out that you don't have money, then don't you just look like a fraud?
Well, you don't say like I have money if you don't have it. You just act like you have it. So if you're going to be around people that you've never met before who spend all kinds of crazy money, do some research. Know what a nice watch looks like. Know what some of the cool restaurants are. And you don't have to say, oh yeah, I go to that restaurant every day. You'd be like, oh yeah, that's on my list of restaurants that I'd love to go to. I hear it's really cool. Some of my friends have been there. And you just kind of work your way through it and make people feel like you belong in that realm. But that's a whole nother discussion. So.
Well, let's talk about making money in real estate, guys. How did you make your first millions in real estate?
I don't know. Let's get our power panel.
Power panel. We have our power panel. We have Nima. We have Nima Ameri, who is our legal eagle. He's our rock star deal maker. He is the managing partner at Ameri law firm. And Nima Ameri, he knows everything you need to know about the law, but he also is, he makes deals. He does real estate deals. He does a ton of them. He buys and holds and sells and does all of that. And then...
and he makes money.
Noelle was rigging us here with our chairs all down low. Negotiating tactic, guys.
And then we have Omar Sharif, who is the VP of Alexander Anderson Capital Group, but he also is our expert flipper. He's our expert burr. He is the author of a book that is coming out soon, How I Made My Millions, right? What is it?
How I Made My First Million, or Millions, maybe.
Or Millions. Yeah. And we are going to, in subsequent episodes, let you know how you can get that book and tap into his mind.
He's also our most eligible bachelor on the show.
He
according to comments and reviews.
And that's a way to make your first million.
Marry Omar.
Pimping out Omar.
Be nothing to the ladies out there. But it's all good. All right, so.
Put him out there to work for you.
So, everybody always asks, how do you make money? How do you make your millions? And for some reason in this world, everybody thinks that $1 million is that really big number. And it's like once you hit that ceiling, you just get there. And it's just like you can take a sigh of relief. And yes, it is cool. Once you get there, though, you realize that $1 million really isn't enough. So,
it isn't.
But we're going to talk about how we did it. So it's always a problem, right? So you're young or you're middle-aged or you're old and you're like, how do I make this money? Like, it's a problem that everybody thinks about. People obsess today. There's so much self-help books out there. There's so many real estate schemes. There's so many good opportunities. There's so many bad opportunities. And people are just like, how do I get that first million? How do I make that first million? So Nima, because you are the rockstar deal maker, why don't you tell us how you made your first million? But before you tell us that, what was your problem? Why did you want $1 million? Like, what was out there? Like, what was saying, I need this $1 million?
Nima likes good stuff.
So, Eric brought up a really, really good point. He didn't say it this way, but this is how I interpreted it, and correct me if I'm wrong, that this $1 million benchmark is what everyone strives for. And candidly, it is the most arbitrary and capricious benchmark that exists. Because
should we have another benchmark? Should it be 10 million? Should it be 5 million? Should it be 50 million? What should it be?
So I like $1 million.
A million conceptually is nice, and I'll get into why I think it's arbitrary, because in terms of what value it has, and then you look at, well, you're talking about it being $1 million liquid, or doing $1 million deal, or having...
Keep it simple.
Yeah, so keeping it simple. You just have that drive, right? It wasn't ever about $1 million. It wasn't ever about making $1 million. You know, my dad used to always tell me, if you're not a millionaire by 30, it'll never happen. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but that was sort of what he always reiterated.
Were you a millionaire by 30?
I was.
He's not 30 now.
Oh, yes.
I was.
Sorry.
I was.
So I wasn't.
So, from my perspective, right?
You're 30.
You know, if you look at it, and this was the most successful guy to this day. I think I know we're at least top 3. So his advice clearly resonated soundly. But although, you know, I came from a very successful background, one of the things that I started with was really nothing. You know, I didn't start with, you know, capital or anything else that my dad sort of gave me. His opinion was, you need to figure out how to make it on your own, and that's when you deserve it.
So you wanted to prove yourself to your dad?
No, I don't think it was about that.
Okay.
I just think that, you know, I knew what level I wanted to be at. I knew who I wanted to be, and I just put my head down and I took the path getting there. I never thought to myself, okay, I need to hit this $1 million mark. I just woke up every day, every year, thinking about, how do I make more money?
Did you make your first million through being a lawyer or through deals?
So a combination of multiple efforts, right? So the first was obviously being a lawyer. In my plan to achieve this sort of goal, education was a big portion of it, right? I'm not saying that's the same for everyone.
Yeah.
I probably could have made more money if I didn't, you know, spend my time in school. I have an engineering degree, I have a law degree. Back in that day, if I just started writing mortgages in the '08 bubble, I probably could have made a lot more cash, held on to it, and then bought up half the universe between the collapse and the reboom. So everyone has a different path to their success. That just was mine, because what I thought about in that path was, look, that's cash flow, right? Also, short of being, you know, hitting financial goals and targets, I knew that I wanted to be a famous and successful attorney. So that was another goal I had.
Wait. Didn't you just get elected to the board of some big hospital? Go ahead, pat yourself on your back. Go ahead.
I'm now the vice chairman of the board of directors of Hudson Regional Hospital, which I'm
Look
very
at
grateful
you.
for.
Is that how you made your first million?
No.
No, but
That's what making millions gets you.
You start making millions.
No, it's not a paid position. It's more of just, you know, a prestigious position. But, you know, these are the things that you start, you know, vying for, and these are the accomplishments you start seeking after you pass that phase of caring about, you know, just the idea of making money. And
so what was the deal that made you, let's talk about a deal or a couple of deals that got you to $1 million.
So it wasn't a deal that got me $1 million. Look, very few of the people listening to the show will have one deal that'll make them that much money. Oh. And candidly, if that's what makes you $1 million, I think that
you have one.
Yeah. I disagree.
No, look, everyone's different. And there are exceptions to everything. But I think if you have, you start at zero and all of a sudden you get a grand slam, look, that's unlikely.
All right, so let's give us details. Tell us.
So it was nothing. I had a couple small deals. You know, I made some money in the firm. I took that money from the firm and I bought a real estate project.
So you made money through
my law firm.
Labor. You worked your butt off.
I took that money. I bought a couple PI settlements, a couple other civil litigation stuff. I took that money immediately. I rolled it into, before I even bought myself a house, I rolled it into an investment property. I flipped that investment property. I took that capital.
So tell us about that investment property. Was it big? Was it little? Was it multifamily?
So one family house in Oakland, right? I took it, and again, I did have some guidance in terms of having, you know, help from mentors like my father, who sort of walked me through it to make sure I didn't spend too much, or
So you did a flip.
I did a flip.
Okay.
So I did a flip, made a few $100,000 off that. Didn't take that money and go out and party or do anything crazy, although I do have a pretty, unique lifestyle, and I kind of always have. But, I did keep in mind, what portion of that needed to go into the next project. And I continued putting in as many hours as humanly possible in my law firm to build that up as a business. And then I would work the weekends.
I have to say that this group of guys here, they work all the time. I know Nima, he's like, I devote all weekends to working. I know I get texts and emails from this one at 3 a.m. This one, he's a bachelor, so maybe he's having a little bit more fun. but he's still working all the time. They work all the time.
I honestly, I would say that
With
now, to your point, I don't really work weekends as much anymore. I do ancillary work, like I'll send texts and I'll be vocal or I'll check on real estate projects, but I'm not sitting there in the office on weekends anymore. But
work can be a myriad of different things.
Well,
You don't
right,
have
but
this
in any event,
I was
need
doing
to
that
know-
until about
we
2
need
years
to know
ago.
how you made your first million. So you made a couple $100,000 working. You put it into your first property. You made $200,000. Now your net worth is $250,000. What did you do next?
just kept doing that.
Okay.
Rinse, cycle, repeat.
Okay. So how many of those did you do before you made your first million?
Oh, I mean, I couldn't tell you the exact numbers of them. But
Ballpark it.
a couple.
Okay, so you did 3 flips, and they were all flips.
Yeah, but I made a lot of money through my law firm as well. So I couldn't tell you which one got me to making $1 million first.
Okay, but understand, making that million, so there's 2 ways to look at this, like you were saying before. Making that first million doesn't always mean you're keeping that first million. So there's making that first million, and then there's having a net worth of $1 million.
And I think we all want a net worth of $1 million. It's not that hard to get a business that makes $1 million.
Yeah, I think a net worth is really where it's exciting, because if you make that $1 million, right, you have taxes. Okay, so Omar, how did you get to your $1 million net worth number?
Author of the book.
So my book is coming out, but I started in corporate, and I tried to make a lot of money in corporate, but I always knew that corporate wasn't where I wanted to be long term. So a few years into it, it wasn't going as planned. So
What were you doing in corporate? I'm just curious. Were you like Chandler Bing? Like, what were you?
No,
the data entry manager?
So right after college, I realized.
Who's Chandler Bing?
From Friends. Oh my God.
Got it.
Yeah. So
Wait, nobody made a tech support joke? I was just waiting. I was like, I was head of IT.
No IT in my background. But in college, I realized I was looking to figure out which path to go through to make money, and I realized that there's a saying that if you want to have control over your income, you have to be in a performance-based industry. So for me, that was sales. So I figured out how to get into medical sales, and right off the bat, it was great because they gave me a company car, laptop, insurance, all of that stuff that I have to pay for, and the earning potential was major in medical sales. So a few years into it, it didn't go as I planned, and so I looked to get out and get into business. So before I got into real estate, I explored every different type of business that I thought would work, from brick and mortar to online businesses, and I spent about 2 years on that. And this is after I quit corporate, and I was low on my budget. I wasn't making money.
Did you lose a lot of money trying to explore different things?
So I lost a lot of time and money in whatever I tried to invest in, because I tried some online businesses, didn't work out.
That's why he said he made his million after 30.
Yeah, that's exactly
Whereas
it.
Nima knew exactly what he wanted to do. So it's very interesting perspectives.
Yeah.
Here you have a guy who has a direction, sort of, and then here you have a guy who knows he wants to make a certain amount of money, but doesn't know how to do it.
Yeah. So when my internet pursuits didn't work out, that's when I got
His
back to
OnlyFans page.
Aren't you reactivating it?
Yeah, I should have back then, but it wasn't.
Omar was the Magic Mike of 2012.
So that's when I got into real estate full time, and this was at about 2013. And it was tough. I had to max out one of my credit cards because I almost lost my funds.
Wow.
So
Where'd they go?
just on expenses, living expenses.
Boats.
Because it's hard to build a business.
You have a boat?
Yeah, right. The only boat I have is the one I share when I visit your lake house. But no. So what happened is trying to build a business and cover your living expenses is really tough. So my funds depleted. I had a certain amount of savings before I left corporate, and before you know it, I had to hustle and get back to making money.
So what did you do? Did you do a flip? Where'd you get that? Where'd you get the money to even start doing your real estate?
So just by, all those credit card offers that we get in the mail and we just throw out. So I was almost broke, and I received this one credit card offer around the holiday season, and said 0% balance transfers. So I had no idea what that was. I called them and I said, what type of balance transfers can I do? Can I put my mortgage on here? Can I put my rent on there?
Wow.
Why are you paying mortgage and rent?
Whatever the case might be. And they said, no, you can't do that, but we can send you a check for whatever your balance amount is. So that was an eye-opener for me. I didn't realize that. So my max of my credit line at that point was $35,000, and they sent me a check for $35,000.
Wow.
Which to me was a lot of money back then, because it gave me that much more time to figure out things I wanted to do. So I had to pay a 4% fee, 0% for 18 months, and that was literally my lifeline. So after I got that money, I started doing transactions, real estate transactions, invested some of that money back into working with clients. My first year I closed a couple of deals, and I jumped right into investments, reinvested that money into marketing, and closed some big deals. My second year I made a good 6 figures, and the rest is history. I just kept it going.
So basically that credit card really really saved you. So would you recommend to people to try that today?
Not credit card debt at the standard 18%, but balance transfers are extremely powerful. I had it 0%. I had 18 months to pay it off.
Wow.
Yeah. I wish I had more, but my max was 35,000 at the time. So
I think someone was smart and knew not to give you too much.
yeah, well, it would have helped if I had it. So they can be useful. And then from there, I got into wholesaling. And similar to what you just mentioned, you know, people have this benchmark of $1 million. I had that benchmark. I thought $1 million was a lot of money. But once you get into real estate, you realize there's lots and lots of people that have over $1 million.
Right.
And they're all looking for deals because they don't have time to do deals. So I kind of reversed it. I figured if I don't have $1 million, let me be the person who's able to find these deals, put them together, and then cater to these people who have $1 million. So there's a big market for that. So I learned how to do deals really well. I found out how to get discounted properties. And there's no shortage of people buying from me. And I realized it's not about making the million. It's not about having $1 million. It's about learning how to put the deals together that can lead to that $1 million. So I went from wholesaling to rehabbing to the BRRRR method.
To the BRRRR method.
I mixed all 3 of those together. And within a few years, about 5 years, I more than quadrupled what I had. And then I realized, you know, this is real and the sky's the limit once you understand the mechanics of it.
So at 35?
Right.
So
about
when did
35.
when did you become a millionaire? What year? What age?
On November 15th, 11:30 a.m., when I was 34 years old.
Really? You remember it like that?
Because what happened is I had a few rentals.
It's really sweet.
So the reason why I remember that is because I had a few rentals, and I did the BRRRR method to refinance. I went to the title company at 11:30 in the morning to close, and they refinanced and sent me proceeds from 3 different properties. And I had more money in my bank account than I ever saw, and it just blew my mind.
I love it.
Yeah.
Jessica has a question for you. Jessica wants to know, what is wholesaling? Can you describe that process? Can any of you describe wholesaling? I don't know what it is either.
So wholesaling, when I first went into real estate full time, it was around 2013, and the economy was still recovering from the crisis, and there's lots of foreclosures, short sales, so on and so forth. So I found a couple of deals that I short sailed, meaning that I helped the homeowner I helped them avoid foreclosure, and I bought the property from the bank at a significant discount. And instead of buying it, fixing it because I didn't have the funds at the time, I wholesaled it to somebody else. Now the wholesale fee can range from $5,000 to $10,000. It could be up to 6 figures. So I had a deal where I made 6 figures on it.
So basically, that's just for people that don't have the money. Finding a deal is a talent, and if you find those deals, you can still make money without actually having that money. So that's awesome.
But I still don't understand. Wholesaling is buying it, not fixing it up, and then selling it.
So wholesaling it is like Omar has a property pre him being a millionaire, and he just needs to unload it. Bank's coming for it. I meet Omar, and I say, Omar, your building is worth, you have an $800,000 mortgage on it. I can get the bank to approve it, or maybe say there's no debt on it. Omar just badly needs cash. So Omar, I'll give you $500,000. We'll close a month. And Omar says, yeah, okay, I need this money, let's get this deal done. So I signed a contract with Omar, and now the property's locked in for a number specific, right? Then I go to Eric and say, I know the property's worth $800,000 to $1 million. Now I go to Eric and say, Eric, I have this property, it's worth $800,000, I can get it for you for $700,000. I can give it to you for $750,000. Eric's happy because it's still underneath what its market value is. Or alternatively, nowadays you can even sell a market. It depends on the supply and demand. And I don't have the money to buy it from Omar in this scenario, right? I knew I never had it in the beginning, and all I had to put up to get this deal done was whatever deposit we negotiated. So in the contract I wrote $10,000, $15,000. So I risk my $15,000 and I hedge that my calculations on this project are correct, that it's worth what it's worth. If it's worth what you think it's worth and you're under enough, you can find a buyer. Then I find Eric. Eric says, you know what, I'll buy it for $750,000. I say, so that's great.
So then you've just made $250,000.
In the spread, right? Now is where it gets a little bit complicated, because back in the day it used to be easier, right? You would do simultaneous closings. So I would close with Eric's money and then transfer title to Eric. Most title companies won't do that anymore.
No.
So what happens is, you have to make sure there's assignment language in the original contract, and then I will assign the deal to Eric, and my assignment fee at closing will be that $250,000. Typically what will happen is Omar will be really pissed off at closing because he will see
could have gotten the whole
how much more I made.
750.
Yeah.
But the reality is there's nothing Omar can do about it, because if you're a smart wholesaler and you did it right, and guys, it's not that easy, because this is where you have to contract it right. Omar can't get out of the deal he made with me. It's written up.
So in other words, the seller is going to be upset because he could have made that extra money, but
He made a bad deal. He made a bad deal.
He actually didn't make a bad deal
Yeah.
because he didn't have the skills to find that scenario. So a lot of people feel that wholesaling or short sales have a negative connotation. I actually think it's an amazing opportunity to help people get through credit issues or get out of problems. So I am very supportive of wholesaling and people like that. And
You can actually make sometimes more money wholesaling, not on a gross, but on a net. Like, I did a project in Palisades Park where I could have made $45,000 wholesaling it. I didn't want to because I thought that my upside was over 6 figures.
Yeah.
Now, instead of getting 45 and being done and out, I built the project, went over budget, right? My upside was not over 6 figures, but even with that being said, it was still more than 45,000, but it took 2.5 to 3 months of my life.
And all of your time.
Exactly.
Right.
So
Yeah, very true.
at the end of it, I sat there and I said, I would have made less, but it would have been a lot easier, and I would have been just as happy with that 45,000 because I could have looked for alternate opportunities.
Yeah.
So don't always try to hit it out of the ballpark. Sometimes making a little bit less but making it easier is worth more than making more
and
hard.
that's where you
Time is
have to
worth money.
gauge where you are in your life. So if you're pre that million, like Omar was saying before, and he didn't have the funds and he was lucky enough to stumble upon the concept and then smart enough to find the opportunities, it's okay to take that sure thing and make that money. As you get older, or I'd say as you get middle aged, which is where I am, it's very hard.
You're a gentleman of a certain age.
Yeah,
That's
it's
what you
very
are.
hard.
Distinguished scholar.
It's very hard to
Distinguished.
give up that.
Extinguished.
I'm extinguished.
You said
But
extinguished.
it's very hard to give up that big picture, and it sometimes I struggle. Like, should I just take the easy way out and make the 50 instead of going for the 100? So it takes a lot of willpower sometimes to be able to take that easy way out, which is what Nima or Omar was saying that he did in the beginning. And you really have to know who you are as a person, how much experience you've had in that
How much
arena,
you're risk
where you
averse.
are in your kind of life point. When you're younger and you don't have the experience, you do the wholesaling. Maybe during that middle age time, you actually do the project, and then as you get older, when you're like in your 70s or 80s, then you just do the wholesaling. Like, you kind of just look where you are in life, see how much energy you have.
Did you
to move
guys
forward.
pick up what Eric didn't say? Take a deep moment here. He just made his spread talking about different stages in his life and how he's going to work and plan to work, and he went all the way into his 80s. What Eric didn't talk about was a retirement plan. What Eric didn't talk about is the notion of what he's going to do in his 60s and 70s being the end of it. And that's what makes Eric a successful personality. Because even off the cuff, the concept of building out your life plan to end in your 60s or 70s, or your retirement plan or hedging,
Eric will never end.
you can't end.
Yeah.
That's what makes a difference, in my opinion, between a successful
Thank you.
entrepreneur and
Yeah.
everyone out there just trying to make a couple bucks and plan it on the corporate level of compounding your money at a minimal percentage rate. This idea of retirement is something that was created, in Europe in, I think, the 1800s. It's really, you got to work until you can't anymore.
I think
Not
it's
for the
about-
money, just to do it.
It's about lifestyle, creating
Yeah.
a scenario that gives you the opportunity to still work, keep yourself active, still bring in some income, and then have the lifestyle that you want. So if
Yeah.
you want to go out to dinner 5 days a week, you can do that. You can still spend your time eating, enjoying, partying, but you work for 2 hours a day, and it just keeps you active.
I think even lifestyle aside, I think at this, we're all at a point where we could probably maintain our lifestyles. I think it just becomes a point of keeping your mind mentally active and keeping yourself purposed.
And then
Yeah.
what we like to do is we like to teach and share it. So I wanted to share, we have a question.
Yeah, we have quite a few questions.
Okay.
So Shaquan wants to know, the market's so crazy right now. Do you think the opportunities you had to get where you are still available, especially with the home prices? So he's
Nima's
like,
shaking his head no.
No?
Omar
I say yes.
is saying yes. I'm going to say yes.
I'm gonna say yes.
I think there's opportunities everywhere in life, and that opportunity could be finding that little old lady or little old man who just doesn't want to deal with something and doesn't care that their house is worth $10 million instead of 5, and they're willing to sell it to you because they like you and give you that opportunity.
A lot of work, though. I think the work
it's harder. It's harder to find certain things, but they're there. There's opportunities.
But that wasn't the question.
Yes, it was.
The question was the same opportunity.
So,
right?
so I'll say that.
Yeah. Do you think the
That's legalese.
opportunities you had to get where you are are
So
still
I think
available?
so. Part of it is, back when I started, it's hard to believe now, but in 2012 and 2013, if you asked most people if they're interested in real estate, they would say no. People were so turned off from real estate because they got burned.
2007, 2008.
So it was really difficult to get people to invest in real estate, and it's hard to believe that in today's world. So everyone was saying, don't get into real estate. And the opportunities in real estate back then, they were not easy to come by. You had to really understand how to do short sales, understand the foreclosure market, the risks involved, and home prices went down. So if you got a good deal, it doesn't mean you could resell it for top dollar because the prices weren't there.
Mm-hmm.
So the same challenges that you have today, it's different, but the opportunity to make that type of money is still there.
Yeah, so I'll agree with that, and I think that in any cycle, up, down, there's an opportunity to make money in every industry.
Yeah.
So the opportunity is always there. You just have to find how to do it at that time. But the way I perceive that question is, were the opportunities available as they were then to now? And the answer is no.
No.
I was buying houses in Oakland, New Jersey for $130,000, $40,000 and unloading them for the 3s. They were those you can't find a condo for $100-something thousand in Bergen County now, right? And my door to entry was a lot smaller. Right. You need a lot more money now to enter into the markets in like Bergen County.
Yeah.
Can you do it? Yes.
It doesn't have to be Bergen County. It could be anywhere.
Sure. I'm using this as just a reference, right? But it is not the same, right? But that there's other opportunities now, because guess what? You're probably 16 years old watching this and just made $800 million on some made-up dog with a mustache coin on crypto, right? So there's other opportunities that exist that you can make money on. So it's not the same opportunities will never be there, guys. 5 years from now, the people are going to be sitting there saying, "Oh man, 5 years ago you could have really made money in that area." Hindsight's 20/20. Yeah. So you need to figure out in your time how do you make that money, but they'll never be the same. Tomorrow will not be the same as yesterday.
So what should people be looking to do today? Should they be doing flipping, burring? Should they be doing wholesaling? People on here are talking a lot about foreclosures. Is that going to be something that you should go back into?
The foreclosure market is starting to change.
Slightly. I don't think people are expecting COVID to have a big impact on foreclosures. That's not going to happen.
I don't think it's going to happen. I think our Federal Reserve is going to kick in.
Yeah.
There's going to be regulations. We're not going to ever see what my opinion, no one knows this, we'll never see the bloodbath we saw post-08.
True.
We were just not designed as an economy and legislatively to handle what happened. And since then, there's been a lot of things put into effect, and banks have gotten smarter. Yeah. They didn't know how to deal with that. So they were dumping things on the cheap just to get it off their books.
Yeah.
Banks now know, you know what? Maybe if we hold it, it'll come back. We don't need to write it off our books.
Hold it and fix it.
Right?
Yeah.
There's also a new law coming out that's, I think, in the House or something. It's for New Jersey specifically, where in a foreclosure, and again, I'm just going to dumb this out from what I remember it as, but they're giving homeowners that are being foreclosed on or their families the opportunity to buy that house back over everyone else. So they're getting either a reduced down payment, like 3.5%, as opposed to like you would have to come with a 20% check. Did you hear about this?
No, that's such BS.
But it's out there. Whether it gets passed or not, I don't know. But it's out there in New Jersey. So if that happens, that's going to also limit opportunities.
We're just legislating out free market.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, like that's what's happening is we're legislating out free market and we're creating all these cushions for people. And guys, it's not going to affect me, Eric, or Omar. It's going to affect all of you guys who are being denied opportunity to replace someone who misused their opportunity. Everyone who's in that position, there's a lot of people. It could be health-wise. There's millions of different reasons, but there's also a percentage of people who misuse their opportunity, did not manage their finances appropriately, and now they get a third, fourth, fifth bite at the apple when our free market economy, and you're all going to hate me for saying this, says that Darwinism says you just need to be pushed down. Someone else, there's 400 million people in this country, someone else needs to rise.
Do you want to hit the buzzer?
Yes.
Well, I
Give
mean,
me that buzzer. We're not playing survival of the fittest here.
We are.
It's not
Every
about-
day we
no,
wake
it's not,
up.
but it's not just in one circumstance. If you want to play survival of the fittest, it's the person that can't pick themselves up and try again. Because you all
Agreed.
can't tell me that you just did it once and you got it right.
no, you're
But,
absolutely
but
right.
that's my point.
But-
Like, so if you fail, we all failed. No one bailed us out. We got back up. But now with all this legislation, you fail. No, you don't need to pick yourself back up. The government just stepped in and did it for you. And now that opportunity, which could have paid for someone else to rise up, is now taken away from them.
Yeah.
There are changes, and again, the government changes, the rules change all the time. The
Politics,
trick is
boys
just
and
be
girls.
open-minded, look for opportunities.
If you identify with
They
them.
are out there. There are lots of opportunities. Well, Disney World changed all the rules now, but there's lots of opportunities out there, and I think you will find them. We find them. Look, we're still looking. We find stuff every day. I just found an opportunity in a town by where we are, where we're just in the right place at the right time, and we're getting something that's $200,000 below market. It happens. It happens. You have to be out there. You have to be willing to take a stab. You have to be willing to try. Don't take no for an answer.
Yep.
Don't give up. Keep trying, keep trying, keep trying. We were talking about people that if you didn't make your million in the first
30 years
if
of
you're,
life?
who you said if you don't have your
No,
million
that's what my dad used to tell me.
before 30. So I know a guy who I'm actually who I'm very close with, a mentor of mine, who didn't make his first million until he was 55 years old.
Wow.
Okay, and then not only did he make his first million, but he made his first lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of millions.
Yeah.
So
And he's still going now at old.
I wouldn't call him old, but
You're gonna come on this show and slap us all, right?
he's older. But
Money makes money.
money. If you have the fortitude, and this guy, his education level was very, very low, and he just School of Hard Knocks. He grew up in a time where he had to figure it out on his own, and he did it. And he just kept trying. And he tried everything, like Omar. Omar tried like 15 different businesses before he landed on real
Tried.
estate. So he got it. He landed it. Not everybody is as lucky as Nima to have like that direction and know what
Guidance.
he
Well,
wants to do.
I've had a lot of failures. I've had tech companies I've started. I've lost 6 figures in companies, right? So not everyone hits. The difference is between sort of what I'm talking about and I think what everyone else is talking about is, and I should have been more clear, not everything is planned and perfect, is that I wake up every day and I continue to grind. I'm reading this really good book. It's called Atomic Habits. And something in it was really interesting because it talks about people who set benchmarks that are material, like $1 million, like, selling 5 houses. That is a horrible way to plan your life because if you hit that benchmark, you've now lost your motivating factor.
Yeah.
They say change your character, change who you are, change your mannerisms to be that type of person, right? Don't think about, and I don't think about how much money, I couldn't tell you how much money I made last year. I just think about making money. I couldn't tell you, how many properties. I probably could if I sat, but for me, it's not okay, I made 100,000, I made 1 million. It's I made as much money as I could,
Yeah.
and I worked as hard as I wanted to. I'm past the point of working as hard as I could. Now I work as hard as I want to, knowing that Monday through Friday, I need to. If I'm going to bed, I need to crash, and then I give the weekends to my family. But I've worked my way to that point.
There you go. So let me tell you a little bit about how I did it.
Oh, good. We get to
Okay.
hear you talk about
So
how
my
you
story is a
make
little bit
that.
different than both of these guys.
Dollar bills in his thumb.
I had no interest in real estate at all. 0 interest. My family had a business. I was all about that business. I kind of had a direction like you did. I knew where I was going. When I went to college, I was like, I'm going to go run the family business, and that's what I wanted to do. Real estate was never even a thought for me. Then, as I started to make some money, I think my family dynamics changed, and I'm like, all right, at some point I have to figure out where I'm going to be living. So I was probably just graduating college, and I was like, what is that, 23, 22, 24,
22.
somewhere or whatever.
21.
And I'm like, shit, I got to get out of the house. My parents got divorced, so I had different living scenarios. Who do I live with? Both of them had other people now, and
Did you have money to start with?
So I worked since I was 12. I was never like a sports guy. I was always a worker. So like when I was 12 years old, I'd go to and it's easy when you have a family business. You could just show up and work and they pay you because I guess they feel obligated. So I would just.
I like your family, man. I'd show up and work. My payment was my existence.
Yeah. So no, I would get paid. So I would say like I probably had raised about $30,000 or $40,000 by the time I was 23, and this is
How do you
way
not
back.
spend that? Like at that age, at that maturity level, with that much money sitting around, how do you avoid not squandering that?
Because I wouldn't have even known what to spend it on. I worked all the time as a kid, so and whenever we did stuff, like my family always paid. If we went on trips or went to New York City for shows or dinners, like someone always paid for me. So
when you were out with your friends, you could be in the city clubbing. Like,
my friends were not.
What was that personality trait?
You gotta be balling on a budget.
He wasn't a party. Like he wasn't the party animal that he is now. Like now, Eric is a party animal, but he wasn't a party animal back then. I think you probably were a sweet boy.
Well, I'm proving a point to the people listening.
Okay,
right? Because you guys are out there with $40,000 in your bank account talking about what Rolex you're going to buy and which BMW you're going to lease.
Yes. So
right?
I didn't have the Rolex. I did pay for I did have 2 cars in college, but I had to sell my Sahara, my beautiful 1997 Sahara Jeep Wrangler, because I wanted a house. And I couldn't have 2 cars and a house. And anyway, so I was like culture shock because I grew up in a quasi-affluent area. And I'm like, where am I going to live? So for the money that I had, I don't know how to say this politically correct, but I had to live in like an area that I wasn't comfortable living in.
Impoverished.
Just an area that wasn't.
Was it impoverished?
I wouldn't call it
Different
like,
neighborhood.
It was neighborhoods that I wasn't comfortable living in. Because I was not an apartment guy. Like I always.
Meaning that you had to learn how to parallel park.
I had to learn how to parallel park. I'm like, what the hell is parallel parking? But anyway, so randomly
the grass was made of dirt.
Yeah. One of my aunts was a real estate agent. So I remember, when my dad was looking for a house, I went with them. And this was in the days when we used to have books where all the real estate stuff was in the book. It was never on a computer. And I would go through the book with her and I'd be like, oh, let's go see this house. And it was kind of cool. So I'm like, let me look for a house. So randomly, I found a house in River Edge, New Jersey. And it was a bank-owned house. Okay? So what that means is it was already foreclosed on. They already went through the process, they foreclosed on the house, and now the bank owned it. So it's different than a short sale, or it's different than a wholesale. It's already been through the process, and now the bank is selling it. So here's this house. It was $132,000.
How much did you have on hand?
So I had 40 grand. That's all I had.
Okay.
The house was trashed. Okay? When I say trashed, like the dining or one of the bedrooms had someone spray painted Marvin the Martian on one of the walls. Everything was trashed. There was blood on the wall. Like it was like the people that lived in this house.
Apparently, the kid who lived there got massacred.
There were like there was like a pool in the backyard, like one of those above ground
dead
pools
dogs
that was,
in it.
Trashed. The place was trash. So I'm like, oh my god, this is my one and only opportunity. And it was in River Edge, New Jersey, which was
nice.
for me was a really nice starter area, and I felt comfortable walking around, and just was right for me. So I overbid everybody. Okay, I think I went in at like 135, and I got this house. And I'm like, oh my god, it was really exciting.
Did you have to live there?
So I had the luxury of still being able to live with my dad for like another 6 months before I had a fight with his girlfriend, and that turned into let's run out of the place. But so now it's like, okay, I have this amazing house. I couldn't live in the house. The house was trash. It had rats. We don't have rats in River Edge, but there were mice. It was everything you could think of was in this house. Graffiti.
So you fixed it up.
The bathrooms didn't work, whatever. So remember, I only had $8,000.
Oh.
Okay, but
Sweat equity.
But like Omar, okay, I had credit cards.
Ah.
Okay, and because I wasn't a spender, I probably had $50,000 worth of credit cards that were just lingering around there. So all of a sudden, I was like, hell, I'm going to take this. And I used this money, and that's how I fixed my house. So I turned this house from $135,000 investment to my first appraisal, which is a whole other story about refi. You get stuck, and we'll talk about that another day. But my first appraisal was $250. Within 8 months of doing that job, it went to $250. So I literally made all that sweat equity, all that credit card debt. I was able to get all that back. Fast forward now, I'm still in my family business, and I decide I'm going to buy, for some reason I now got the real estate bug, I'm going to buy my first building. So I'm like, where do I get this money? How do I do this? So now my house appraised for $500,000.
The same one?
Same one.
How long after?
All right, well, I'm lying. Maybe it appraised for like 400, 300, whatever.
Okay,
but I was able to take out, because then I did another refi, and I was able to take out $200,000.
Nice.
I took that $200,000 out, and I bought my first commercial building, and I had no one to advise me. I had no one that had any commercial real estate experience. I had my aunt who was a real estate agent, but she wasn't like...
Savvy.
She wasn't the savviest, you know, she was very good for her clients, but she didn't really know, she only owned one house, so it wasn't like she had a lot of investment experience or whatever.
So you bought a big commercial
So I bought this building, I had no friggin' idea what I was doing. I knew how to build a little bit because my family did some kind of background in construction, so at least I had that going for me. But I bought this building, had no idea what I was doing. I bought a single tenant building, which is the worst thing you can buy.
I have learned that from Eric. You
Yeah.
do not want a single tenant building. Why, guys? Why do you not want a single tenant building?
Cap rate destroyer. 1
Because-
month out, here goes
Yeah.
your margins, your cap rate. You got to carry that place.
So basically, to put it into our language, guys, if you don't have anyone in there, you have nothing, like you're not getting any income, and
Right.
you have to carry
so
it
the pendulum,
yourself.
right? If you have a $10,000 rent and you're making $10,000 when that's empty, it's not that you just went back to zero. You're now losing $10,000
A month.
So the pendulum swings too much. It is so freaking dangerous. Now, we're talking about how I made my first million. Okay, so while that was friggin' so dangerous and so stupid, and I did go actually for some advice to non-real estate people, and they all told me I was crazy. So we'll have another discussion. I'll never listen to people that aren't in real estate. I did it anyway. A year after,
Did they have more money than you, the people you talked to?
They did. They did. So a year after I bought that building, I sold it and I bought the building for $6 and I sold it for $1.3 million.
Wow. Wow.
So that was my start.
That's risky, bro.
It was
That
very
was
risky.
You jumped in from going to $130,000 project to a $600,000 project. Even I, to this day, avoid $600,000 deals.
But look out! But I did it with small. I did it with small chunks.
On flips, one family houses, I will avoid.
Under 500.
Yeah.
I did it with my
It's a risk.
first number was 40,000 and my second number was 200,000. So the point is, there's ways to get there. So I got there quicker, just probably by luck.
Quicker, but not really. So what I'm hearing is that everyone took steps and just kept on working towards a goal. Like, it wasn't overnight. It's not like you put money down and then the next day you were like, ha, $1 million.
There's no such. You will not have one hot deal which will make you a baller, right? And if you do, God bless, you're going to lose your money because you didn't earn it, right?
Yeah.
I don't agree with that.
Could be. Well, it depends.
Listen, if you made if you may have one deal and you make a huge commission on it, and it was just by chance, by luck, not by effort, didn't require any requisite knowledge, how are you going to repeat that? How are you going to make all the planets align again?
Because you study it and you learn. I repeated that.
But that's not what you did. So I'm talking about the people who are sitting there expecting to make $1 million off their first rip.
Well, I didn't expect that. It happened. So I'm not saying go into the project expecting to make $1 million. You go into a project knowing that what your worst case scenarios are, making a little bit amount of money or having a small upside or whatever.
That's exactly
And then
yeah.
I just got lucky because I bought in an area that I thought was growing, and I felt that it was the right thing.
But you
to do.
didn't have $1 million rip overnight. You started with a $130,000 house.
Yes.
You saved up $40,000 till you got there. What I'm talking about is the people watching this expecting that we're going to give you the key to success, and you're going to do one deal and you're going to be a millionaire.
Nope.
No.
Nobody can give you a key to success. You have to make your own success, but everybody has a different way of making that success. My success, and to me, making $1 million was successful, but it wasn't really my success because I didn't even realize that I had it. I mean, I had that aha moment where you're like, holy shit, look at all this money. But I never physically took possession of the money because I turned around and bought more buildings.
Yeah, do you like that money in your bank account? I don't. It's cool for that moment you see it, but then when you think, if you're really
It's better when you have a zero than
better
having
when
a
you
zero
make
in your
it.
bank.
you're thinking to yourself, what am I going to put this into next?
To make money. Yeah.
I don't know about all that.
That's how I was, but
it
I mean,
really
eventually you
is.
want your money to make money.
Right.
So you look at it and say, all right, well, this money's not working for me, so what can I do to reinvest it?
It's all about your age. It's all about your experience. It's all about where you want to be. When you're young, you do a lot of stupid things, and I've taken a ton of risks at a young age. What I can tell you is that I would do it all over again.
That's actually something we didn't. None of us said it, but all of us explained it in our stories. Every single one of our stories involved taking a risk.
Yes.
Big time.
Right?
Yes.
And now that I'm thinking about it, because it's funny, when we started the show, we all said a bunch of stuff. The first things that popped in our mind. But I think now that we're actually talking about it, the stuff, if you go back and watch this cast and you listen to what we first said, nothing we're telling you now I think lines up with that. Eric said, dress the part, look the part, spend the part, appear. But now if you're listening to him, that's not how he achieved his success.
It's all about
Hold
did the
on.
opposite.
I didn't give you all the pieces, right? I still had to go out and get a $600,000 or whatever, $400,000 loan. So here I am, a 24-year-old with no real estate experience, had to walk into a bank, okay, and get them to loan me whatever it was, $400,000 or $500,000. How do you do that? You have to dress the part. If I walked in there with like a ripped T-shirt,
But even
I'm a proponent of dressing the part. No, let's. That wasn't what I was saying. I'm actually all for you have to look it. I'm just saying that that's something that comes into play. It is not how you make it.
Exactly.
Right? It's not like you don't go out and overspend before you've done the deal. Like you build yourself up to the point where now you need to legitimize yourself. You have to look the part. You have to dress it. I'm for that.
Yes.
None of you are wearing three-piece suits. You are riding around in bright orange Lamborghinis. And you...
I wear three-piece suits all the time.
But
Like my suit collection is like my
and
pride
just
and
remember
joy.
today with social media, the banks will look you up.
Okay.
So your loan officer will look you up. If you're on there like smoking weed every day, they're going to be like, I'm not giving this guy money.
Banks look at your social media.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, can I also say why I'm not in a suit too? Because this is funny. Because I'm actually a suit person. I've worn suits forever. Even when I was younger, like in college, like I love a fine tailored suit. I just got fat during COVID.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I'm not going to replace a bunch of like $5,000 to $10,000 suits, right? Just because I gained like that. I'd rather not, I'm just going to not eat for the next couple months.
you could get a couple fat suits that are
You'll,
smaller.
you'll. I tried that. It's just depressing because they don't look as good. You'll eventually see me back in suits, but there'll
That's
be
why
a
you're on
direct
that
correlation
training.
between.
I don't like suits. I never want to wear another suit.
Oh, I love suits.
But
I'll wear a blazer.
Blazer suit. But Noelle, you made a good point. As far as you're right, a lot of us didn't fake it till we make it or take that approach. Personally, what happened is once you get into real estate, you realize that the learning curve is steep, and a lot of your time will be spent learning. So if you're out networking, going to happy hour, going to random events to fake it till you make it, what are you doing to back that up? You have to have the knowledge. You have to have the experience. What are you talking about at these networking events? Like if you don't have active deal flow, if you don't have the knowledge to have these conversations, all you have is fake it till you make an image, and that doesn't get you anywhere.
And to Eric's point, so guys, listen to Eric's story because Eric's story really is, and he explained in detail the trajectory of how you start young and you build yourself up and you make it. Eric started with being frugal, saving money, did a deal. Now he needs to get real money, big boy money. So he has to start dressing the part, looking at it. But now fast forward to where Eric is today. So he's that middle category of mid-sized deals is when he was faking it. Now he's at a level where he doesn't give a shit because he doesn't need to. No, he's running Habitat for Humanity. He's wearing a full shirt.
Well, that's
I'm doing this on
because
purpose.
once you get there, you have to give back.
So
But then you
we'll talk about this.
When you reach that next level, right, that's when you can not care. And guess what? When you're at that level, if you're walking around with an old gold this and that, and you're just talking all about how much money you have at a certain level, people start thinking to themselves that maybe you're faking it.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's true.
there's three levels, guys, and you need to listen to what we're saying and put it in the right category. Because at the top level, the last thing I want to do is sit across the table from someone where he talks about all the stuff he has or just bought. It just gets boring.
Well, no one likes a name dropper, and no one likes someone who's just always over the top. Like you rather learn from someone who you know has the experience, has done it. You verify that they've done everything to get there. You don't care if they're actually like wearing a bunch of gold or you know.
Gold's not a good example because I'm covered in it, but I'm talking about like,
You know what I mean. You don't care. You don't care about that.
I sound like a king hypocrite here,
It's
but
about results.
just don't show up in a Versace shirt. Like, what are you wearing? Like, what are you
Yeah.
doing?
Well, I think part of the comments, right? So Omar said about the faking and all that stuff. One of the reasons that we started the remix here is because we wanted to be able to share real stories, real experiences, have the direct questions, and really tell people what's out there. You know, we're not here to make connections. We have the connections. You know, we just want to give back. And, you know, why I wore the Habitat for Humanity shirt, one of the most amazing things that I've done, and I'm
Spilled sangria on your dress shirt before.
and I'm surprised that I only did this when I was like 48. It took me till I was 48 to go do a Habitat for Humanity build. Habitat for Humanity is a charity. They're all over the world, I think.
Yeah.
And Omar and I went and we actually put sheetrock up in a house.
You built a house.
And it was fun, and we were with like a bunch of like 10 people, girls and guys, and we just went and we built this house, and we spent the whole day there. I think they brought us lunch.
We
I
have
don't
great
remember.
pictures of you in your construction
Hard hat.
hat. Yeah.
And to give a shout out to New World Title for putting that together.
Yes, Salim, thank you. And it was an amazing experience, and especially for people that don't know about real estate. Like I could build a house if I wanted to.
You should have taken
but
me. That would have been a great experience for me.
We'll do it next
Can
time.
you imagine?
No, but that-
the house would not only not get done, but everyone would be Noelle would be like, so why are you putting that screw there?
No, I think it would be a great experience.
It
Guys,
is.
if you're like
do it
me
again.
and you don't know much about what goes into the mechanics of real estate, like mechanics meaning what's a strut, what's a whatever, a screw.
strut is on the car.
But
and
whatever.
a stud.
You get what I mean. Go do Habitat
There's
for
two
Humanity.
types of studs. The studs that we
There's
have
this.
here.
Well, yeah, these are
There's
big
Eric
studs.
Anderson.
No, but I'm saying go do Habitat because then
Yeah.
you're giving back and you're learning.
It's great
It
experience.
gives you a perspective, like what are you actually buying when you buy a building? Like now you get to see what a house is built out of.
Yeah.
It was
All that
I've
stuff
never
we
done
talk
it, so
about.
I don't think I can't relate. I've never done Habitat.
We're gonna take you too. The next
it's a
one we
hard-
fun
do,
experience.
It's a hard
we are
pass.
going to record it and we're gonna show everyone
Honestly, I
how
wouldn't
to
do
do
it.
it.
I'll donate to Habitat for Humanity, but I won't
No,
give
no,
my
no,
time.
no, no. Let's take a day. We'll drink.
So, I'm in the
You
mindset,
can drink
but this is how it's actually
drink
going
after.
Okay.
Or your nail will end up like Eric's when you hit it with a hammer.
I dropped a weight on my hand, not a hammer. But anyway. But again,
He's offended. He's like, I don't hold hammers anymore.
No, I actually like to hit a
Smash
nail
things?
and bang things,
I
but
wanna
it's
be part
fun.
of demo.
But so again, check out Habitat for Humanity. It's a great way to learn. It's a great way to give back, and it'll help you get a perspective.
And guys, give back, right? Because honestly, every time that I've done, like, I donate a lot, and every time I do, I just do it because I think that you're morally obligated to. Every time I do, every single time, I get a really good deal.
Yeah.
Something happens. And it's always when I donate, like, under the table, I don't care about my name being on things. Like, something good always happens in my life, and it tends to be on a business level. I know that sounds ridiculous.
No,
I'm
it
not a religious
doesn't. It
person.
happens to me
I'm
too.
not a superstitious person, but I can tell you truly that I can relate to every time I've given, I've gone back.
So that what Nima is basically saying is that $30,000 that you saved up, give it away, and then that $1 million deal.
Not the
Give
whole
away
30,000.
500 of it. Give away
Yeah.
100 of it, right? I'm not saying it doesn't matter how much. Go buy some toys and drop it off at a shelter, right? Go pack some clothes you have in your house that are something that you're going to throw out, and just spend that little bit of time to go drop it off to a Salvation Army, right? Just think about others, and the universe will think about you.
Agreed. And again, stick with real estate because that's the way to go. What questions? I know we have a ton of questions.
No, we have. I just wanted to bring something up. We have a couple more minutes, and I wanted to bring up how I just sent you an article that CNN wrote about how there might be a housing bubble. They don't know. What do you guys suggest if someone is a real estate agent? So they're making deals, they're selling, they're helping people make transactions to buy or sell houses, and they want to shore up their income. What do you suggest they do using their real estate license?
Great question.
So they still want to be a real estate agent. They love what they do, right?
And they want to buy a house.
No, just saying what else should they be doing to make sure that they are still making money? God forbid there is a bubble.
So this goes to the point that Nima was making earlier. If they're a real estate agent and they make a few big checks because we're in a bubble right now, you're going to struggle once that bubble pops because you don't have the backing or the infrastructure to continue getting leads. So, I don't know.
So
You sound like you're really going
So
someplace with that.
what I mean is, what happens in every market is when the real estate
that was not in my
market-
head. Like, yeah, one more, go, bro. And you're like, you're fucked, guys.
Like,
Get your broke asses out of that apartment you can't
Give me
afford.
one thing: should
Okay.
people be buying? I mean, I expected you all to say burr it because buying a building, everyone's always going to need rentals. They're always going to be in
Okay.
a multifamily building, giving you that residual income. But
I think I know what you're trying to say. I think on one end, Omar's saying is if you're asking that question now, it's probably too late. The second
Yes.
thing is, guys, real estate being, and I'm not a real estate agent, so correct me if I'm wrong, it's not a seasonal gig. You ride the wave when it's high. This is a career.
Right.
And it, like everything, my dad always says that he's got his terms, like it doesn't always rain. At the end of the day, you can't be an idiot. Like if you didn't see this coming, then you're an idiot. You should be planning like a squirrel. You should be taking your nuts and stashing them away. And you should have enough cash reserves because you've just ridden the wave of a lifetime, made more money than you will see in quite some time. And that if you spent that cash on cars, watches, jewelry, you upgraded your lifestyle on a temporary surge, then you're screwed. If not, you're going to make less as a real estate agent. You'll still make a living. You'll have to work harder. Like any business, the economy affects it. But if you've saved up that money, you're going to sit back, wait. You're going to take the talents and the education you learned from this show and your profession as a real estate agent. You're going to take all the things we've taught you. You're going to either call one of us or you're going to call somebody you know or do it yourself. You're going to find your own real estate projects because when this bubble bursts, that's a buy cycle. You're going to buy everything your money can buy. And you're going to hold.
If the bubble bursts.
If
the bubble
It's going to burst.
But to give you something actually concrete to do, make yourself relevant. Find someone who needs help. Find an investor who has 20 or 30 deals that are going constantly. Find one of these millionaires that Omar was talking about that is looking for all these wholesale deals.
Yes.
And make yourself invaluable to that person. Be their right-hand man. Every time they have something to rent it for them. Every time they have something to sell it for them. Help them do their refis. Come up with ways to make yourself valuable where you can still earn. And that person doesn't want to shop around. They would love for you to handle it because they're busy doing other stuff.
So what I've heard also from you guys is that I know each of you eats, breathes, sleeps in the world that you're in, and that you really need to get in there. You all network, which I hate networking, but you all network. You all stay abreast of what's going on.
Can we say a funny story?
Go ahead. We have
So
3 minutes.
Eric and I were, this is just funny. Eric's my brother. Everyone here I love, right? I'm good friends with everyone. And obviously I'm very loyal to Eric as an agent, but I work with other agents and as well. It's who's got deals. I was with Eric and a couple other of his agents. We were at a bar all together, and Eric turns around in the middle of it, and he hears me building an entirely new relationship with someone who is tentatively in the real estate game, may have access to projects. He laughed about it and told the agent that I was working with, you just lost your customer, right? Because I can appreciate that. Because this just goes to the context of that networking, right? Mm-hmm. And we talk about finding deals. And this is a funny experience. I was going to talk about it with him afterwards, so we laugh about it. You're always looking. We're always looking, right? Keep your ears open. To your point,
stay relevant, stay on your game.
Find that investor. Find someone. Don't just say this is my network. I'm good enough. I'm full.
No,
stay hungry.
And Adele wanted to know what kind of things new real estate agents should be doing, and that networking piece is huge, right? Networking is huge.
Listen to the conversations. Go to Starbucks and have a coffee. Sit in the corner and listen. Look at who's driving in the new cars. Follow somebody. Go look for new construction.
Don't follow me. I'm calling the cops.
You've done that before.
I follow people all the time. Go to new construction projects and go see who's on the job. Go talk to the contractors. Make yourself relevant to people. Talk to these builders at these networking events. Talk to people that are looking for stuff. You don't have to have something. You just have to know a little bit about something. So if you're going to a networking event that's talking about new construction, go learn about 5 new construction projects in the area that you can rattle off all kinds of information about them. It doesn't mean that you know what you're doing. It just means that you know that, and it gives you enough information to create relevance to that person and have a conversation where then you can go to the next level when they ask you for help or a question, and you can learn more and move forward.
And don't forget, it's running out of time. I promised everyone a couple of shows ago on this flip that I'm doing it's in Culver Lake in Branchville.
That's right.
Yeah, that I will give whoever follows the guidelines you guys set up before it hits the MLS and becomes a bidding war.
We have one person who emailed in and was like, they want to be a part of that.
Right? So I will give
more than one person.
Our viewers
that was the one from yesterday,
dibs on putting in an offer before it hits the MLS.
info@recareercenter.com.
Yeah, so we're going to iron out the terms of that, but probably within the next 30 days. If things go well and we get the pool opened up, it'll be on the market. But before it lists on the MLS, whoever is a subscriber, you have to subscribe. You have to be a subscriber to both the Instagram as well as the YouTube channel and Spotify. If you are a subscriber to all 3 of those,
Then he'll give you the house.
No.
But you will be able to bring your clients there. It won't be on the MLS, and you can be fancy. You can tell them, listen, I've got an off-market property, and we can have a dib at it. So you look good.
Guys, subscribe, YouTube, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We are all there. What do you want to say?
Remember, you too can visualize it, and you can have it, you can build it. So if you visualize your $1 million, you'll be a millionaire.
Thank you, Nima. Thank you, Omar.
Thank you,
Eric,
Noelle.
Noelle. Bye, guys.
Next time.